and welcome again to the Real Collective Podcast, the show that was nominated for 3 Emmys and 2 BAFTAs. I'm Brendan McKeegan. With me, as always, is Sean Tassay. Sean, how you doing, my friend?
I would be doing better if I knew what a BAFTA was. I don't know what a BAFTA.
British Acting, Film, and Television Alliance, I think. It's basically ACTRA, but in Britain. We're huge in the UK, everybody.
Yeah.
We're huge in the UK.
Yeah. We've got 3.
I like that we're not nominated for a Gemini, but we are for American and UK programming.
Well, hey, you know what? That's people watch this from wherever they watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Their toilet.
Pretty much. Welcome to another half-hour dump. My name is Brendan McKeegan.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? If you've got kids, there's chances that you are having a half-hour dump. Anyway. Segue.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Again, if this is your first time, please like, subscribe, and share the channel. Maybe share us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, all those fine things. Give us a little notification bell clicker. Give us one of those. That would help us out. And put in the comments after you watch this episode, because you have nothing to comment on yet. We're only about a minute in. Today, we thought we would talk about going into this summer market. I'm going to stop saying and dragging that out. The 4 types of buyers.
Ooh.
Why is that important? Because there's different ways to go about making sure that they're taken care of. So we're going to go over the 4 types of buyers today. If we miss one, put that in the comments. Maybe you think there's a 5th one. Like, yeah, but what about people from Des Moines? And you're like, we forgot about Des Moines.
Yeah.
So
You did.
Good podcast. We're going to start it off right away. Let's jump into it.
Wow.
We have 4 types of people. Now, I would say I don't want to put them in any kind of order, because the one that's like the most prevalent is kind of all of them. At any given time, all 4 of them make up. I want to see a pie chart on these.
I mean, I'm gonna lean to the top one is the person who needs the most attention, going down to the bottom one who probably needs the least. I would.
There we go. That's a good idea.
I would want to avoid the last one as much as possible, personally. But you know, hey, everybody needs some help.
Right? Sometimes.
Sing it.
Everybody looks. Okay, so we're doing this by how much attention you would need or require or should get from your realtor. So number 1.
Yeah, I mean, as an agent, I sort of group people into categories, right? And if you need more service from me, you're gonna wind up, if you need it faster. So yeah, number 1, hit it.
Number 1 is, let's say we have qualified buyers. And they are also motivated. They need to buy now. They've sold their house. They've already given their 2 months notice, whatever it happens to be. But these people are looking because they're on a time crunch. A lot of time, this is military moves, military law enforcement, those types of, things where you get placements. Those are really the big ones where they're qualified and motivated and need to buy now. And other times it is people who have sold their home, haven't found the right thing, and then went, because the market changed a little bit. So you need to do the selling part first, and then you buy second, and then you're coming on that time crunch, but you don't find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So getting into it, qualified and motivated buyers. They need to buy now. Qualified and motivated. Qualified and motivated.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'd say these are definitely the buyers who need our help. And they rank as what we call A-class buyers. They have to buy. If they don't buy, they're going to be homeless, right? So they really need our help. These are, when you're selling, these are the best buyers that you can attract. Sometimes these buyers are on what they call HHTs, house hunting trips, if they're military people, and they will come in a whirlwind, and they're going to see 10, 20 different properties that might match their criteria, look at everything and pick one. And it's like, what's the best deal going on the market right now that meets most of their, needs or wants or desires? That's the house they're going to go for, right? And so when you're thinking about selling your house, you think of, okay, well, how do I attract those type of people? How do I attract the people who are both qualified and motivated? Well, you've got to be the best deal going. right? Otherwise, you get passed over and they go and they find something else. And sometimes a lot of agents will look when you're listing your house for sale, a lot of agents will look at, oh, well, this house just sold in this neighborhood at this time. But buyers don't typically look like that. They cast a much wider net, especially at the beginning. And so you want to be the best deal going, not just for your little pocket or for your neighborhood or for a 3-bedroom townhouse in Canada. You want to be the best deal going for your price point. You want to be the best deal going in Canada and Barrhaven and Stittsville, right? And if you're that, then you're going to be the person who sells right away. And we're still seeing from time to time, we're still seeing bidding wars. So when you're selling, you really want to think about, okay, well, how can I attract the most qualified and motivated buyers that need to buy now? And from an agent perspective, when we're working with buyers, we definitely want to be working with the people who are qualified and motivated, because those are the people who need us, because if they don't buy a house, they're going to be homeless.
Yeah. So let's talk about the mindset of the qualified and motivated buyer. What should you prepare yourself for as that type of buyer? Like, you find yourself in this scenario and you're like, oh man, I got to buy something. I got to do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're still like, but I'm going to hold out for a deal. And you can't necessarily do that when when you have to buy, when you have to get something. You may have to overspend a little bit in any market. You may have to spend more than you would if you could just take your time and maybe wait for the right place to pop up. But I do think if you're qualified and motivated and you need to get into your sense that maybe the best thing right now is finding the right spot and just giving a fair offer instead of trying to swindle a deal. I don't want to say like, but you know what I mean? Like when you're like, give them a bit of a low ball. Let's just see if we can. I'm like, guys, we're on a time crunch. We could go back and forth with 24-hour irrevocables each time. And now this offer writing process, just the negotiations, takes 5 days.
Yeah.
So
I always, so we just did one yesterday or 2 days ago, where I feel like if you can get the best deal, it might not be the best deal ever, but if you can get the best deal now, and you're comfortable with it and you're happy with it, then that's great. Like we did one, client was coming from overseas, showed up about a week and a half ago. We toured like 20 different properties, missed out on a couple, and then finally got to a point where it's like, okay, well, you know what? If we keep going in this direction where everybody else is going, we're going to keep losing. Why don't we shift our focus over here? So we did a reassessment. Okay, we looked at whatever it was, 19 of them or however many, and based on what we saw, this is the neighborhood. This is the type of home you definitely want a place with an ensuite, because that's the reason you didn't buy the last one. You lost out on an offer. So here's the best deal that you can find for that. It's priced at X, but it's been on the market for 27 days. So there's the chance that you might be able to get it for X minus whatever. In that particular scenario, they were saying, oh, well, we want 24 hours irrevocable on an offer. And I'm like, no, we're not giving 24 hours irrevocable, because we're just going to open it up to someone else that you're bidding against. So we went in and we gave them, I mean, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock. We gave them until 9 o'clock. We ended up buying that house for the best deal for a townhouse with 3 bedrooms, an ensuite, and a garage that we've seen in Orleans in the last 30 days. One of the reasons was, sure, the house was 2 years newer, only 2 years old, whereas some of these were like 10 and 20 years old, but it didn't have a finished basement. Not the end of the world, wasn't super pressing for these guys, because you can just go and finish the basement afterwards. But it's the best deal that we've seen in more than 30 days for a house that's similar to this. So, they were happy. And the minute after it happened, the client clicked unsubscribe. I don't want to see any more houses.
yeah.
Don't want to see any more emails, right? Like, I'm done. I'm out. This is it. So they were definitely qualified. They were motivated. They had, a time crunch where, they're coming in from overseas and they've got to see as much as they can and get something locked up. And that's what we did. So.
Right on.
Yeah.
So then the second one, it's kind of a mix. It's qualified and maybe not motivated or not as motivated. They haven't sold their house yet. They're not worried about being homeless. Maybe they're just getting started with the process, but they have their pre-approval. They're going to buy. It's just a matter of when. So that looming pressure isn't there for them. So what does that mean? That means maybe we're not calling every single day to tell you or discuss the homes that are in your search, to go over like what's going on, what you want to see, what your thoughts are on the homes that are popping up.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the key things is just making sure that you're not getting like um over analyzed, I guess, by your realtor. Like, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? Like, God, like I'm still a few months away from doing this. Tranquilo.
Yeah, it's like just chill. I think a lot of the times in those situations, people are waiting for the perfect house to pop up, and I think you get lulled into this sense that, oh well, maybe another, because another one will always come along, right? The problem is there's never going to be the perfect house that ticks all of the boxes. So it just comes down to a point of, okay, well, it's like almost a game of attrition, right? It's like, when are you sick of looking, right? And then
Yeah.
a lot of times in those circumstances, it sucks because you might have missed out on one or two before where you're comparing everything back to that one, right? So these are still good buyers. So if you're selling and you've got people who are, qualified but not motivated, they're still good buyers. They have real estate agents that are working with them. But especially in the market where people are buying first and then selling after, you'll find a lot of people who are in that spot where they're qualified, but they're not they won't be homeless, right? Like that's the main thing. Like they can buy your house, but it's gotta be like either like ticks all of their boxes or is such a good deal that they say, oh yeah, okay, you know what, I'll do this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the second group, and I think that's the second, that I call those B class buyers, right? I call the first ones A buyers because they need to buy a house. If they don't, they're homeless. And the second group are B class buyers, where, hey, you know what, we'll buy the right house, but you know what, if it doesn't show up until next year, so be it.
Yeah.
You know,
And a lot of times that's people who are renting. They're maybe first time home buyers, but they're like, I still got this place. I'm on month to month. I can kind of do whatever I want. So you're
uh,
doing that.
unless, like you said before, something changes, right? If they got a notice that, hey, we're selling our property and you have to be out in 60 days, well, that's a different story. So they
Yeah.
change in, buyers will move in that ranking depending on whatever's going on in their world, right?
Yeah. Third one we got is investors, and investors never want to sign to work with one realtor at any given time. So moving on.
Well, it's funny.
No, I'm just joking.
I'd say there's a lot of agents who will think exactly that. We're like, look, there's no loyalty, right? Like a lot of agents are like, oh, I got this investor client and they won't sign a BRA, and so a BRA is a form that says that you've hired a real estate agent to work on your behalf. But a lot of the work that we do is with investors. Like we work with a ton of different people, and there's no the idea is they're not stuck to you for that one property, but there is a relationship that's built. And if you know how investors' minds work, you can work a lot with investors. The problem is there's no emotion in a purchase decision made by an investor, right? It's all about, hey, can I buy this place at 90% of market value? And how do I do it? And a lot of the times they do it quickly, right? It's like, hey, here's a property that's out on the market. Boom, let's grab it, let's take it, right? And
Yeah.
take it off the market. And you'll see unconditional offers from investors, right? Because they've got
Yeah.
their lined up. You'll see they don't need to do an inspection because they've already done their inspection, right? The fear when you're selling to an investor, especially if you sell right away, is what if you're leaving money on the table because an end user might pay more for it than an investor? But of course, the risk and reward is if you're selling to an investor and you've got an unconditional offer versus you're selling to an end user and it's got, a financing condition and a home inspection condition, and you don't know if your house is going to pass the financing, you don't know about the quality or the qualification abilities of the buyer. Maybe you'll take that offer from the investor and just be done with it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? There is something to be said. And that's why when we were in that crazy multiple offers scenario for home buyers, offers were clean. And I think getting that clean offer still, even in this market, is like, even if it's a little bit lower, there's that sigh of relief of like, okay, it's a little bit less, but at least it's done. Like, let's move on. Let's go find the house. Let's go.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So I think that's a big part of it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's too much more to go on the investor side of things. I think we work with a lot of them. I think you build that relationship, and they will want to work with you on each particular home. But yeah, they might not sign something for everything else.
Investors are absolutely looking for shrewd negotiators to be on their team. So someone who
Mhm.
understands the market dynamics, who understands how to negotiate on their behalf, and has good relationships with the other agents in the city. Which, I mean, again, to toot our own horn, we do, right? That's what we're good for doing. And so there's a lot of investors in the city, and I mean, we take care, right? Like we actually care about our people. A lot of investors in the city will reach out to us for our help, not exclusively, and there's no expectation that's an exclusive thing, but there is a lot of work. I think about 40% of our business is working with investor clients, and it's a small knit community, so they all sort of know each other. So it's if you're selling your house, I'm sorry to say, if you're selling your house, you don't want to sell it to an investor, right? You want to sell it to an end user who's willing to pay you more money for it, or you sell it to an investor and you get as much as you can out of them. It's not a hard and fast rule, but really, as a seller, you want to hit up those two first groups, right? The end users, the people who are going to be in that house for 15 years, 20 years,
Yeah.
who aren't worried about, oh, well, what are the market dynamics going to do in the next, 60 days, 60, 90 days.
Yeah. And then the last one is our fourth type of buyer are the looky-loos, the tire kickers, the time wasters, the people that carry their tiny dog into your open house, who live down the street, who are thinking of maybe downsizing in 10 years. Just a lot of times they're just nosy people. I know for us, it seems, and other realtors might attest to this. It's the internet leads that come in, who then you call them, and then they say, "Why are you calling me?" Like, all
Yeah.
I did was click on pictures, and you're like, "Right, but you put in your info to get more info, so I'm calling with info." Well, I didn't ask for that. All right. Do you want to just see pictures? Just use Google.
Yeah, it's you know, and it's the I guess the problem is, again, if you're a seller, the, you don't want to waste your time promoting your property to looky-loos, nosy neighbors, tire kickers, or people who are wasting your time, who are not qualified to buy your property and are not motivated to buy your property, right? And a lot of the times, if you're trying to sell your house privately, for example, and you haven't hired a realtor to help you, you don't know what the difference is between these people, right? Like we ask really great qualifying questions, and you just talked about all the internet leads that we get. None of the people who are internet leads who say that they aren't qualified or motivated are going to get in to see your house. None of them are going to get to work with a realtor, right? The good realtors in town are working with the two first types of buyers, and sometimes, in some cases, working with the third type. But nobody's working with these people unless they're a brand new agent and they don't know the difference, right?
Yeah.
So, when you're selling, you want to hire a reputable agent to represent you. And when you're buying, if you're not motivated to buy a house, don't employ an agent. Really is what it comes down to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And just go, you know what? You want to go around an open house? Sure. I'll call you after and you say, "No, I just live on the street. I'm just curious." Cool. No problem. Do you want to know about the market in the neighborhood? Do you want like a snapshot? No. Okay, no problem. Talk to you when it sells. Okay. Bye. And that's it. That's the look of the loose. So there you go. We've got qualified and motivated, qualified and not motivated. We've got your investors, and we've got your looky loos. Those are the four types. We'll take a quick break, come back, and say how we, as realtors, give you what you need as far as attention goes. So, what that means for you in each category, and what we'll do to make sure that it's the best process possible for you. We'll take a quick break here on the Real Collective Podcast, and we'll be right back.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to better serve a wide array of clients, including first-time buyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allows us to put our clients at the center of everything we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you are interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back to the second half of the Real Collective podcast. Again, please like, subscribe, and share the channel. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Give us a little like, maybe that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, all those fun things. So in the first half, we talked about the 4 types of buyers, and now we want to touch on how we, as realtors and as the Real Collective, make sure that you're getting the service that you require, depending on where you fall in that category, because it does differ very greatly. Because for the first one, let's get right into that one. If you're qualified and motivated, first thing is first, we're going to be setting your search to be ASAP. So as soon as a home that fits your criteria is listed, you're going to find out about it the same time I do. It gets sent to you right away. We can plan almost daily showings. Like you're hot to trot, you're good to go. We're going to be in constant communication. And I think that's the key underlying thing for qualified and motivated is constant communication.
Yeah. Reassessing needs, doubling back. Hey, you know what? You said you didn't like this thing about this one, but your search turned up this. Let's change your search, right? Let's really narrow it down. We started here with a wide range. Let's get you down to it's a lot more narrow. Okay, well, we definitely want to be in this neighborhood. Okay, we figured that out. Great. We definitely want a house like this. Okay, good. We figured that out. Great. Based on, after looking at whatever it was, 19 houses with these folks last week, hey, you know what? Here's the top 3 places. Well, out of those 3, this one has a bidding war set up for it tomorrow. This other one just came on the market, and that one's that one's too small. This one just came on the market. This one has been on the market for 27 days. It looks like the right one. Let's jump at it. And you might be able to go in and get it for a song, right? And
Sure.
The idea of zigging when everybody else is zagging, right? So there's a book, I think I don't know if it's called Zig or it's called Zag or whatever it's called. But when everybody's getting involved in bidding wars, go find yourself something else. Go find out, the house that's been picked over by everybody else that you can go and potentially steal. Maybe, just maybe, the market changed just a little bit and the listing agent had a conversation with the buyer and said, look, we're listed at $599. We're not getting any action. We're not getting any activity. Let's drop the price down to 770 or sorry, 575, for example, because that's
Sure.
the conversation that the agent's having. So if you as the buyer agent and the buyer can come in right in that exact moment, then you might be able to get it for the 575 that they were thinking about dropping the price down to. So, being not in constant contact only with the client, but also being in contact with the other agents, having phone calls, like, my goodness, it blows my mind how many agents don't actually pick up the phone and call the other agent, ask the questions. Because in that particular negotiation, you know what happened? We said, hey, look, you know what? Here's our top budget. And without even batting an eye, the other agent said, okay, well, we'll come down by $15,000. And I'm in the car with my client. We're driving back after the showing. And I just punched him in the arm. I'm like, they just gave up money. Like, they didn't have to just, give it up so quickly, but they did. And it was like, oh, okay, this might actually work, right? So, and that's like an everyday conversation. So that's why we call them A buyers, because they need our full attention, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it means that if the one that is in multiples is exactly what you want, you just got to be prepared to spend a little more. You just got to be prepared to spend more.
Yeah.
Number 2, the qualified, not motivated, haven't sold their home, not homeless. Maybe they're renting, so they're not like in a hurry for it. I would say the attention with them, not quite daily, but I'm going in to check out their searches every day, see what pops up. Based on what kind of showings we've had, seeing what kind of homes we've looked at, and then saying, hey, what do you think about this home? It came up. And just getting some feedback. I think just that kind of trust building, but just not even trust building, but just like showing that I'm trying to learn exactly about what you're looking for, because we do have listings that are off market. We do have coming soons and that kind of thing. So I want to know more and more and more, because even like for these first 2, any qualified buyer, think of it like you're fishing in a lake, you're casting a net over the entire lake and you're seeing what you pull back with your search. And then as you refine that, you're trying to find the best spot to fish. So you're going around, maybe you're circling around this big and then smaller and smaller, and then finally you find that right spot. That's all it is. You're just trying to whittle it down. So by giving them not as much as these qualified and motivated buyers, but still qualified and will jump on the right home if it pops up. I want to make sure that at least on the daily, I'm checking out their portal to see if anything fits what they're looking for.
Yeah, and we also use off-market searching for both of them, right? So on Facebook groups. There's coming soon. There's exclusive Facebook groups. There's Knocked, right, which is a system that we set our clients up on to find off-market properties before they hit the market. All of those are other ways to sort of using your analogy, to find that secret spot in the lake, like that one good fishing hole that's like just outside of the weeds, but that's where you can get like the good ones, and that's what we do for our clients, right? And we do it whether you're in either of the top two, well, really top three categories, right? So that's definitely a B buyer, right? Someone who's qualified, but who's motivated. The C buyer is going to be someone who's, they want to move. They haven't got their finances in order yet, but they're going to qualify, but they haven't yet, right? And they're maybe not necessarily motivated, or they really are motivated, but they haven't lined up their financing yet. Those are a C buyer, and they can move really quickly from sort of C to B. And the big question is about their qualification. Are they pre-approved? Can you actually buy what you find? Because the worst thing that can happen is you find the perfect house, like, oh yeah, this is the one. I want to get it. I want to live there. And then you speak to the bank afterwards, and they're like, oh, sorry, yeah, this one's 700. You're only qualified up to 675. And
Right.
they can't buy that house after they see it and fall in love with it. That is a world of hurt.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to sometimes. Like, what would you pay for this house? And if someone pays $100 more than that, or $500 more, would you be upset? And if the answer is no, then you're okay. But you got to find that right spot. Number 3 is investors. What do we do for investors? I don't want to say not a whole lot.
Don't.
I think we're always keeping our ear to the ground for potentials that would work for them. But they don't need daily phone calls. They have their searches set up. They're well in tune with what's going on in the market. A lot of them might have their real estate license just so they can have access to MLS and that kind of stuff, but not necessarily. A lot of them are contractors and whatnot. So
yeah, I think
let's say it's somebody that you work with on a regular basis, like they come to you. You don't have that BRA signed, but they do come to you quite a bit. I'm going to probably a couple of times a week throw them something and be like, hey, this came up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, a lot of the times for like the experienced investors, the non-experienced investors, where a lot of the time we're spending is sort of guiding them through, right? I know Elliot does a lot of work in this field, giving them like, hey, here's what to look at, here's what to pay attention to. This is a good deal, that's not a good deal. Like we're picking through stuff and sending it to them. If there's a deal, but it's not the best deal for them, then we're kind of not saying anything. But sometimes something will pop up, and either we'll hear from them or we'll see it before it pops up, and we'll let the investors know about it. We've got a list of all of our investors, and whenever there's what seems to be a good deal, we'll shoot it out to a long list of people and say, hey, you know what? Are you interested in this? Right? A lot of times it's done a little more personal than a list serve. A lot of times a text message or something like that goes out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say probably 4 times a year, the investors who we're working with closely will perk up and say, hey, I'm looking for something like this. So if you see something, let me know. Hey, I'm looking for something like this. If you see something, let me know. And in those cases, we'll keep our eyes and ears tuned in. And if we see something either off market or something hits MLS and we're looking for something else, we trip across it, like, oh, hey, did you see this yet? Right?
Yeah.
I think knowing what people are looking for is very helpful, obviously.
Yeah, knowing their business.
Yeah.
Knowing their business and how they work as investors. Are they buying something or flipping something once a month, or are they like, more passive investors, or whatever they happen to be, and just sort of catering to that and getting to know them as a business and anticipating them, I guess, a little bit more.
And a lot of them will sort of be gatekeepers, right? Because other people
Sure.
will come up to them and say, hey, you know what, I want to invest in something like this. And in that case, keeping in constant contact with our investor clients, they might hit us up and say, hey, you know what, my friend was talking to me. They want to find a place like this. And so, we'll send the place like that to the investor, and then the investor as the gatekeeper for their friend or for their business partner or for their, silent money partner or whatever it is, can say, hey, look, I found this. What do you think? And then they say, okay, yeah, you know what, the numbers make sense. Let's move forward with it. So
Yeah. And then our last one, we got the looky-loos and the tire kickers. What do we do to service these people? Not a whole lot. If we've talked and you're interested in having a market snapshot, that's great. So I'll probably call you 4 times a year. Maybe you get some mailers from us.
wow.
Once a quarter, once every 3-4 months. Hey,
I
how's it going? How you finding that search for you? Okay, cool.
you know what, if you're not qualified, you're not motivated, I'm not spending a lot of time. If you say, hey, look,
Sure.
I'm thinking, like, I was talking with a young couple, maybe a week or two ago, and they said, look, we're planning on moving in a year. Okay, good. Where's your money coming from? Well, I've got $80,000 coming from my dad. Okay, cool. Well, that's congratulations. That's great. So what are you hoping to buy? Place that's about 400,000. Okay, good. Are you established? Are you able to afford it? Yeah, we're able to afford it, but we just don't want to move now. We want to move in together. Like, we just started dating. We want to move in together, live together for a year, and then buy a place. Okay, great. Here's the search setup. You're going to have questions as you go through. Whatever questions you have, let me know. I wouldn't really call them looky-loos or tire kickers or time wasters, because they will be clients, but they're
Yeah.
not they're not ready for at least another year. It could be longer. So
Yeah.
hey, here's a bunch of information. Take all this, and away you go. Someone who comes in an open house, it's a nosy neighbor, might be a seller,
Sure.
in for 2 years. Maybe they're coming in to essentially job interview you as you're hosting an open house. So you
Yeah.
don't really know, right? You treat everybody fairly and honestly. But if people say, like, I just want to see the pictures on Facebook, well, okay, good. Here's the pictures on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Sure.
If you need anything more, let me know. But a lot of the times, if you try and, hey, you wanted to see the pictures on Facebook. Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to unsubscribe? They don't want to hear from you, right? Like,
Yeah.
they don't want what we have to offer. So
Yeah.
no point offering it, really.
You've got the looky-loos that see a house and like the pictures, and then maybe you've got the looky-loos that actually want to keep an eye on their neighborhood. I think
Yeah.
those are where the categories break down. And for those people that do, they're interested in it for a reason, and at some point they might sell. So I think spending a total of 10 minutes on the phone with them a year, that's nothing. Like, you're giving like a 2-minute, 5-minute phone call 3 or 4 times a year to just say, hey, how's that search working out for you? Is there anything you want to change about it? Like, do you want to, like, the frequency of it? Is once a month good, or do you want once a week to get the emails? How's that going for you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you see this place that popped up that someone else was selling? That's it. Just nice conversations with people, and not being, I find those ones are easy phone calls to have, because one, you're not signed clients, but you've already shown that, like, you're part or you're interested in it. But I don't have to be salesy. I can, I don't feel salesy calling. I can just say, yeah, this one came up, and how about you guys? Are you guys still set where you are? Yep, we're good. Okay, cool.
One
Talk to you in October.
one thing that never crosses my mind when I think about you, Brendan, is salesy.
Yeah, I'm not.
Not at
I'm
all.
not the salesy guy. I'm brutally honest, and I'll
Right.
tell you one way or another. And I think by brutally honest, I don't mean like comes off as rude. I just mean, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat things for the sake of making me seem better, or a deal seem better, like something that's not going to benefit the person if it doesn't benefit the person I'm talking to, then what's the point?
Yeah. No, being salesy is never a thing that crosses my mind about you.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Good.
It's been
Awesome.
5 years and I've never sold a home.
Yeah. Please, somebody buy a house.
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe I should switch tactics.
Maybe.
Oh man. So that's the rundown, guys. If we missed something, put it in the comments below. Let us know. Let us talk it over. If you do want to talk something over with us, our Calendly links are below. You can find that. So to wrap things up again, please like, subscribe, and share the channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We had a good one today. Hope you enjoy it. And if you did, go in the back catalog, find something else. We appreciate you watching. I'm Brendan McKeegan. This is Sean Tassay. Keep it real.
Collective.